Ghazghkull mag Uruk Thraka, the self-proclaimed prophet of the Waaagh, known in the Imperium as the Beast of Armageddon, is the Orc warlord of Waaagh. Ghazghkull is currently the most notorious war boss of the 41st millennium. He is infamous for his actions during both the Second and Third Armageddon Wars. Ghazghkull is a particularly megalomaniacal orc, convinced he is blessed by the orc gods, Gork and Mork. He possesses a considerable measure of cunning, and in battle he tends to focus more on commanding his troops compared to other war bosses, only engaging in combat himself at critical moments. Ghazghkull's origins. In late M41, the Eldar of Ulthwé prevented a Waaagh from endangering craft-world Idari. In the process, this act raised Ghazghkull Thraka to prominence. The earliest records of Ghazghkull since that time were recorded 9 years before the Second War for Armageddon. At this time, Ghazghkull was a lowly orc boy in the armies on the planet of Uruk. A space marine force of an unknown chapter raided the planet in the hopes of disrupting the orc forces building up there. During the battle, a bolter round tore into Ghazghkull's skull, destroying 30% of his skull and pulping a good portion of his brain. He was found by the notorious painboy known as Mad Doc Grotznik, who rebuilt his skull with adamantium. Somehow this enabled Ghazghkull's latent psychic powers, convincing Ghazghkull that he had been somehow blessed by the orc gods and claimed to be in communication with Gork and Mork. Convinced he was marked for great things, within 6 years he had risen to the rank of warboss of his tribe. A year later, 2 events occurred, giving Ghazghkull the opportunity to further his dominance and begin a Great Waaagh. Firstly, Uruk's sun had begun to die. Severe solar flares caused many deaths from radiation. Secondly, a massive space hulk appeared in orbit around the planet, offering escape from certain death. Ghazghkull managed to subjugate the other tribes on Uruk, who combined to form the genesis of a Waaagh. Ghazghkull's first base of operations was a deserted fortress of redemption, later renamed as Da Fortress. It has been vastly upgraded by orcs. On Uruk, Ghazghkull rode to battle on a large battle wagon called Da Killblaster. After arriving on the space hulk, Ghazghkull renamed it as World Killer and set sail. While en route through the warp, power systems on Ghazghkull's hulk failed several times and the warboss and his new orc charges had to fight off continuous demonic attacks, providing them with plenty of battle experience. Ghazghkull on Armageddon. The hulk found its way to the Armageddon system. Its weapons demolished the defenses of the Armageddon system, including obsolete orbital satellites and small attack craft. Desperate messages were sent in the hope of acquiring aid. 3 Space Marine chapters began to organize themselves but would not be able to get there before the orcs landed. A month later, the orcs disembarked, beginning the Second War for Armageddon on the day of the Feast of the Emperor's Ascension in 941-M41. Ghazghkull's attempted conquest of Armageddon would be foiled by his arch-rival Commissar Yarrick, but the warboss would later capture his hated enemy during the Battle of Golgotha. After a few weeks of torture, Ghazghkull decided Yarrick was too much fun for the new fight he was already planning and released the Commissar. 57 years to the day after launching the Second Armageddon War, Ghazghkull once more invaded Armageddon, this time with an even larger Waaagh. Though initially conquering half the planet's surface in extremely bloody fighting, Ghazghkull became bored with the stalemate that was developing on Armageddon. Leaving the settlement of the conflict to his nobs, Ghazghkull left Armageddon in search of a new, more exciting fight. His old enemy, Commissar Yarrick, followed him and vowed to slay the warboss at all cost. The Great Waaagh. Ghazghkull was cornered by Yarrick and Helbrecht of the Black Templars at the Battle of Haunted Gulf, where it seemed the Warlord's luck had finally run out. During the height of the battle aboard his flagship, Kill Wrecker, Ghazghkull received a message from his weird boys, apparently from Gork and Mork themselves. The greenskin gods told him that it was not his time to die, and that the whole galaxy must echo to the battle cry of the orcs. They charged Ghazghkull with gathering a Waaagh like no other, and to do this he must first defeat every other major orc warlord and bring their forces under his sway. Upon uniting the Orc race, he was commanded to lead them in a battle that would last forever. The Kill Wrecker vanished in the warp and escaped his Imperial pursuers. The vessel reappeared in the Orc Empire of Octarius, where Ghazghkull first had to contend with the rival warboss Uruk Thraka and then the Tyranids of Hive Fleet Leviathan. He has since launched his new Great Waaagh, intent on fulfilling the mission given to him by the Orc gods. Ghazghkull has since left the Octarius war zone, and is now leading a fleet of over 5 million ships against the Imperium. However, conflicting reports by the Logis Strategos concerning the location of Ghazghkull is causing consternation at the highest levels of the Imperium. The Grand Warlord is documented to be within Octarius, yet simultaneously sacking Cantissa, upon the killing fields of Uruk Thraka, reappearing at Armageddon to give tactical advice to his followers, in the Imperium Nihilus, and fighting around Riza. It is speculated that the Orcs are using warp storms to navigate the galaxy, and extreme empiric time dilation may also be to blame for the confusion. Later, during a battle with Space Wolves Wolf-Lord Ragnar Blackmane at the Battle of Kronga, Ghazghkull was decapitated despite badly wounding the Space Wolf. His head was eventually discovered by a grot and his remains were brought to Mad Doc Grotznik, who managed to bring the warboss back to life, bigger and more powerful than ever. Such is his orky strength that his very presence draws greenskins from light years away. Thank you for listening to this entry from the Warhammer 40,000 Lexicanum.